hear ye. Welcome, one and all, to the Dukes of Gaming podcast. Thank you for choosing to hang with us for the next hour and some change as we bring you into our world of video games. You can find us on your favorite podcast service, watch us live on Twitch, and watch us later on YouTube, whatever you prefer. And of course, as always, I am joined by my fellow Dukes of Gaming, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Joining me first and foremost, of course, he is our Nintendo hater that plays all his games on the hardest mode. He is the Duke of Education, Alfredo. How are you doing today, sir? Serving double duty, streaming us as well. How are you, sir?
You know, I'm doing okay. I'm very tired. I'm very exhausted, but I'm here to talk about video games, so let's do it.
You're doing a lot of work for a tired person. We much appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you, sir. And second foremost, he's our law expert, headband expert, business expert, but more importantly, he's our Duke of Rocket League, Cole. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. I got my tree up. I'm getting cozy.
It's feeling real festive.
It is. I got the Christmas candle,
Yeah.
Good atmosphere to play video games.
See,
I feel like what'd you say?
I was gonna say you're really putting us me and Thomas in a bad spot because you got your stream set up. Everything's done. You got the TV, the Christmas tree. I'm just over here with random objects, some stupid Pokemon over there.
Y'all got to come up with the Christmas spirit here because I couldn't tell. I would think it was June or July.
Well, look, I got the ugly sweater. And
there you go.
He's got red in the sweater. No green, but red.
Just red. And I got something else. It's not anything I'm wearing, but it's something I wrote. I wrote a little jingle to start us off on a good Christmas cheer, if that's okay.
I'm interested. Very.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Don't suck. Pressure's on.
Oh, man. It might suck.
Wait, did you sing this?
I'm not going to sing it. I'm going to harmonize it. I'm not going to sing it.
Okay.
I'm not Aretha. I'm not a Robin Thicke, but
we'll be the judge of that, okay? You might be a Robin Thicke.
this Simon Cowell would eat me alive. But it's not about the voice, it's about the lyrics. So without further ado, jingle bells, Elden Ring sells, Callisto laid an egg. Xbox sued by the FTC, Sony told them break a leg. Hey, jingle bells, Pokemon sells, even though it's broken. Sifu was good, Neon White was even better, and Kirby was better than it should be. Jingle bells, Xenoblade is long, Xenoblade is way too long. God of War is God of War, but what did we even expect? Hey, jingle bells, delays were hell. Where the hell is Zelda? But that's okay, it was a pretty good year, ended right with Christmas cheer. Hey.
Yeah.
And we all forgot Horizon.
That's so true.
You're not wrong.
That was great.
Good job. Robin Thicke, you are.
Yeah, that was impressive. You just came up with that right off the rip, too, because 10 minutes before go time, you're like, I'm going to do a jingle.
Look, I don't have the Christmas outfits. I don't have the Christmas decorations, but I could do a jingle. So.
It took all of me not to start like beatboxing.
I didn't know what y'all beat were looking like. So
I didn't want to
put the pressure on.
I could have laid it down, but I wanted you to have.
There might have been a little bit of latency too, so I was like, I don't know.
You don't want me doing that.
No, I would have only enhanced the experience. Just trust.
We have to go on a road tour then,
right?
You're the beat, I'm the lyrics.
Yeah.
But of course, this is a video game podcast. And of course, we have to ask the age-old gamer question. What have we been playing this week? And I feel like I've been going first for a couple weeks, so I need to break that up. I'm going to let the man with the fire go first.
The heat miser.
What have you been playing this week, sir?
Well, something I have attempted to play, but and I have played a little bit. The Witcher 3 next gen.
How's that?
So,
Ooh, nice.
so I downloaded this thing, right? And first of all, it was hard to figure out how to get it on the PlayStation. Fire. Um, it was hard to figure out how to get it on the PlayStation. So
Mhm.
you had to, because I didn't have the complete edition. Anyway, long story short, I finally got it on there, but it was kind of hidden. Like they were trying to charge me for it. Got it on there. I went to play it, and my save wouldn't load. So then I go to the internet, try to figure out what the hell's going on. Where's
Wait,
my?
you were trying to pick up where you left off?
Yeah, I was trying to bring in my old save, from the PS4, which and I had it digitally downloaded. So I mean, I just re-downloaded it, the PS5 version, had it completely downloaded, ready to go. Booted it up. I was so excited. I got my snacks. I was ready to play this week, and then my save wouldn't load. So come to find out, y'all, to get your save to load, you have to download the entire PS4 game. Then you have to play the PS4 game, and you have to save again. Then you have to like delete the PS4 game. Then you have to go back to the PS5 game. So see, like I had to wait another 3 hours for the PS4 game to download
Oh, thank you.
Oh
before
my
I could load my
God.
save in. So it was really frustrating.
You should have just
Um,
started a new game at that
I
point.
did. No, I did. I did. That's what I did. I started
That
doing.
sucks.
That did suck.
It does.
But like, anyway, I started the new game, just fresh, and I played ray tracing. I switched back and forth, and it looks good. It looks really good. And that game feels good too. And I'm gonna play at ray tracing 30 frames per second. I know y'all probably would play performance mode because y'all are kind of more 60 frames per second. But my thing with that is I literally try to play as many games as I can in 30 frames per second because I feel like it doesn't raise my expectations up all the time. And I'm always disappointed by games that are 30 frames per second. One day
Mhm,
we'll get
that's
to a
fair.
point where, like all games will be 60 frames per second. It'll be fine.
And
But like,
remind me, the original when Witcher came out, it was 30 frames, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't even know what it would
I
even
think
feel like.
it's been
60.
30 frames this whole time
Yeah, I think
before
It
this
so.
feels
next gen
really good.
update.
It felt incredible at 60.
Hmm.
But the ray tracing though, like I was looking at a lot. I spent probably hour and a half this week just going through reset era and like Reddit and stuff and looking at these comparison pictures. And with ray tracing on, like it gives a different kind of depth. Not just the shadows look darker and stuff, and the water reflections look better, but like it gives some sort of like depth perception to the screen that you don't have without it. I don't know. I mean, you can look at some of them and check it out, but um, it makes the world feel a little bit more immersive. I feel like as far as your depth goes, it's hard to explain, but yeah, it looked great, and I want to play this again, and I have a feeling that this could be my game of the year. Like if I really were playing this like a month ago, because I forgot how good that game is. It's incredible.
Yeah, I've been wanting to actually go back to the game, and I
Y'all
don't
didn't
know.
beat it.
Huh?
Neither one of you beat it, right?
Yeah, I
I never
beat
beat
it.
it.
Oh,
I
you
beat
did?
it,
Okay.
but it's been
I
so
got to the
long.
last I got to the last area, and I was like, okay, I know this is the end. I'll come back to this eventually. That was 2019. And yeah, it's been a while. So I have no excuse. I have it on PC. I need to get to it. But I'll let you play it first and let me know. I know you beat it already, but I
80
wanted to
hours
see
later.
how you like. Yeah, I want to see how you like it with all the next gen enhancements, see how that goes.
There's no way Cole finishes this game. No
I
way.
did. I finished it. I finished the original one.
I'm talking about the second time.
Oh yeah, no,
This
no.
time.
I'm gonna play Blood and Wine is what I'm gonna do because I'm not one to go back and replay games, unless it's like Batman Arkham Knight. For some reason, I've just been wanting to go back and play that game. I don't know why. So
Just
I do
play
want to go back
Gotham
and play
Knights with me, Cole. What are you doing?
that.
My
Yeah.
God.
I will. I kind of do want to do that.
It's on
Um,
sale. Tis the season.
But yeah, I want to do Blood and Wine, so I'm gonna jump back in and play through Blood and Wine next gen version, and go from there. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. So I've just played a
Excellent.
little bit, and it's just a great game. The game is it's just freaking incredible, and I thought it was probably my game of the year in 2017. 2017, is that right?
15. Because it came out the same
Jeez.
year as I think it came out the same year as Metal Gear Solid 5.
That was 17, wasn't it?
No, that was 2015. It was the year before Uncharted 4.
This game is 7 years old.
I thought it was
Yeah.
older than that. I thought
Are
it came
you
out in
freaking
2013.
No,
What
that
was
was
it?
that was
That was
P-
Last
yeah,
of Us, I think.
that was last generation. That was Grand Theft Auto 5 and Last of Us. This wow, I can't believe this game's 7 years old and it's still the best open world game.
Better than Elden
Open,
Ring.
open world RPG, better than Elden Ring, I think,
Oh,
Interesting.
wow.
because like
Interesting.
I like RPG. For some reason, I don't really like. I consider Elden Ring an RPG, but I kind of don't. I feel like it's like in its own league, from software game,
Yeah.
But anyway, what have y'all been playing?
Alfredo, you go next.
Sure. Well, I've actually have not been playing that many games because I have work and it's Christmas time and they want to, have everyone work hard before they get to go on vacation and whatnot. But in my spare time, I have been playing a little bit more of Marvel's Midnight Suns. Still like it. I've been trying to get it on my Steam Deck so I can actually play this game, and it's not a Steam Deck compatible game technically. So I've been trying to basically save the data in between unsuccessfully, going in that Linux system, trying to copy over the files manually every time I go on my Steam and try to load that save, it crashes. I'm just so over it. It just
Alfredo,
reminds me of the PC days, and I'm so over it. I'm over
we
it.
might have to have a separate discussion about the Steam Deck in general.
I haven't
'Cause
been playing it that much. I've just been playing Dead Cells. I've yet to play like an actual game on it yet. I'll
Wait, you've been
get
playing
there. I'll
Dead
get there.
Cells?
Yeah, I'm finally playing it because I got a Steam Deck, so I'm playing Dead Cells a little bit. Great
So how do you
game.
feel
It's
about
fun.
that?
Fun to
It's not
pick it
special
up,
to
put it
you,
down.
though?
I think Dead Cells specifically, I think if I had played this game before, all of the other roguelikes that I've played, like Hades and every
say it,
other
Alfredo.
roguelike.
It's not Hades. Just say it.
Yeah, I think, well, the thing is Dead Cells came before all of them, right? Dead Cells was like the OG roguelike, and that's what made it so good. Revisiting it
I
now,
don't think it was the OG.
what
Because
was
that's
the
like
OG then?
Rogue Legacy.
They came out around the same time, I
No,
feel
Dead Cells
like.
came out like
Yeah, it
2016.
came a little later.
Okay.
But I still
Like
think
Rogue
Dead Cells
Legacy
is
came
the
out like
best.
20 what?
Well, Dead Cells
13,
is better than
14?
Rogue Legacy. It is.
Well, yeah, I'm not debating that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I think that like I feel like it wasn't. It came before like stuff like Hades,
Yeah, it
but
was in the
there had
middle.
been a bunch of roguelikes before that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was the first, I would say it's the first one that did it well, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
but we've still come a long way since, and now it's a little bit hard to go back, but it does still hold up. And like we saw at the Game Awards, they're still giving updates to it. Like I was just in, and there's some Castlevania characters and weapons and Hollow Knight weapons and
I
characters
don't think
in it.
Castlevania stuff wasn't coming till January. It's in there now.
I know for sure Hollow Knight is in there because I found the bench and
Oh,
I've been
God.
using the weapon. I could have sworn there was some like little Easter eggs. I haven't seen the characters or anything, but there are definitely some Easter eggs there. So George out on that. But besides Dead Cells, I have made a little bit of time to play High on Life from Squanch Games, which is the new Rick and Morty creators game. So I've been playing that in my spare time. I
too.
haven't gotten as far as I wanted. I've only played about like 2.5 hours, so I haven't gotten to try all the weapons or get all the weapons or anything like that. But from what I have played, I am really enjoying. If you have played any of Squanch's games in the past, yeah, I mean, you know what you're in for. It's the Rick and Morty type humor. It's
I don't
just
think you exactly know what you're in for. Because I played about maybe a little. Have you beaten at least 3 bosses?
no. I have not.
So
I've
I mean-
beaten 2 bosses so far.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've beaten 3 bosses.
Yeah.
So I think this game. I don't think it's like amazing or anything, but
it's
I
a fun
do.
time.
I think it's a fun time. I
Yeah.
think the shooting is underrated. 'Cause I feel like people are trying to like downplay the shooting, like, oh, it's not good. I'm like, it's pretty good. It's fun. Fun.
The shooting's okay. The shooting's okay. But
I
it's
like how
not bad.
I like how the game is very much like everything in terms of every like buttons and everything is explained in a funny way.
Yes.
Where it's like like the funniest part about the whole game was during like the tutorial section, and they say, yeah, you press X or A, whatever controller you're using.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever heard a game be that meta before. Like, and there's a whole bunch of little stuff like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I meant like you know what you're in for in terms of the Rick and Morty world. Like the world is really good. It's Rick and Morty basically. The lore is good, and this game looks fantastic also. Like I was looking at it. I'm just playing it on my Xbox Series S, and it looks really good. I'm pretty impressed by how good it looks. And like the art style and design and everything. I'm a type of person who likes Rick and Morty, so that type of humor really appeals to me, so that only enhances it for me. So I'm having a good old time playing this. It's just one of those games where you don't have to take too seriously. You can unwind and, just have fun and laugh at some jokes if you're into that type of humor, which I am. So I'm going to talk more about it hopefully next week when I actually hopefully finish it, because I don't think it's that long of a game. I
12
think it's
hours.
like, okay, I thought it was 8 or something, but yeah, hopefully I'll get a little bit more into it and play with some of the other weapons and see what it has to offer. But I'm having a good time. It's on Xbox Game Pass. I would recommend so far based off of what I played.
Yeah, I join your sentiments. I like the game a lot. Not even halfway through, but enjoying my time with it. I wish I could have played more, but it was just so many games I got to this
Same.
week. So for me, I'll start off with the game I probably spent the least time with. I played Portal ray tracing mode. That came out this week. It's a collaboration between Nvidia and Valve.
What an
And this is
interesting thing just to release.
right. And it's like when you start it up in that, when you first start Portal and you're in like that little cell, like right
Yeah.
there is like Nvidia 4090, like just sitting right there.
Of course.
Like just digitally rendered in this
Placement.
game. Exactly. But it looks really good. Looks really good. I don't have like the best rig in the world, but I have a pretty good PC, and it looked really good on my PC. Like the colors are popping. You can tell they put a lot more into the HDR as well. It looks substantially better than the original version. And I mean, I played the original version this year. I played Portal for the first time on Steam Deck.
Oh, nice.
And so just playing it with it was legit like a generational leap. So I highly recommend, if you have the PC to run it, I highly recommend at least trying it out, because I played through the first like 6 levels of Portal, and it was every time I was like, this looks really good. Like just being able to see like the reflections in all the glass. I never realized how much glass is in
Oh, there's a
Portal.
lot of glass.
There's a lot of glass. The portals look really good too. Yeah, I recommend it if you're a graphics whore. So, been playing that. Another game that I've been playing also is, of course, since I am the Duke of Anime, I couldn't miss out on Final Fantasy Crisis Core coming out.
How is it? How is it?
It's pretty good. I think it is if you're a Final Fantasy fan, or more specifically, you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, and you missed this game because it's been basically segregated to just being on PlayStation Portable, PSP, and they've never released any way to play it. Even those like Birth by Sleep, that was another game that was only playable on PSP, and Square was like,
or you could have gotten didn't they have PS TV? You guys remember that?
oh god,
PS
that was for
TV?
Vita. I think that was for Vita though.
Oh, I thought you could have both, but maybe
I think it was for
dang.
Vita.
Wow, they
But
truly
I did want a
on
PS
PSP.
TV back in the day. I thought it was
Same.
really cool.
I had one.
But
Never
you
used it.
did?
Yeah. Never used it.
Nope.
Plugged in all the
No.
time.
Send
Out.
it.
Yeah, send it to us.
Yeah.
I'll gladly take it.
But yeah, like Final Fantasy Crisis Core, I played this, but I don't remember. It's one of those games that I don't remember playing, and I don't remember it because I remember not liking the combat as a kid. But I was like, okay, it's Final Fantasy VII. I got to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do remember parts of the story, but the story isn't like, it's not Final Fantasy VII.
I think that's what I remember of it. I remember the story not being good, or me not knowing what was happening in the story.
Yeah, I think, and the thing is, I was a kid, so it's I don't remember if the story was bland or I was just a kid and wasn't getting it. Playing through it now, no, the story is not that great. It's not the greatest thing in the world. It's not Final Fantasy VII by any means. It's not, and the big thing is, it's not Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like,
Well,
it
yeah.
looks a lot like it, and it plays a lot more like Final Fantasy VII Remake than even the original Crisis Core. But there is a big budget difference between these two things, and it's very apparent.
It's also not full priced, right? It's
No,
not
it's
$70.
$50. It's $50.
Okay, it's up there then.
I mean, but yeah, I think that's $20 difference. So I mean, that's like you're getting into like, was it Xena Bridge of Spirits territory? And do I think it's good? Is that game? No. This is a remake though, so it's still, you can still feel this being a PSP game. It's the structure of it's still the same. You're in corridors, you're fighting monsters in corridors. It's not like Final Fantasy VII where the battle arenas are a little bigger, like it's very condensed. So for me, I had the best time playing this on Steam Deck. Because it's portable game at that point.
Nice.
And it runs good, runs at 60 on there. So I'm having a good time with it.
So it's worth it on portable.
Yeah. I'd say
Otherwise,
get it on PC. I say get it on PC. PC, okay. I ran it really good on my PC. It's not really requiring too many crazy stats or anything. So you can pretty much play it on any modern rig. So I recommend getting on PC if you have a Steam Deck. I think the Switch version, I haven't tried that, but I think that would be a good way to play it too. I don't think getting this on PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X is a good decision though, because it feels like a PSP game.
That's fair.
But for what it is, I think it's pretty good. And look, I see Aerith. I like it. So
Aerith 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Best girl. Anyways, speaking of games with absolutely no female presence or very little, I've been playing through Elden Ring again and Sekiro at the same time.
There's girls in there. Well, not Sekiro.
Not Sekiro.
Yeah.
In Elden Ring, they're all weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been playing through both these games kind of at the same time because Elden Ring, I'm pretty much done. I'm just like, I'm very much under-leveled where I'm at. Did you beat Elden Ring, Alfredo?
Mm-hmm.
I'm stuck at the giant. I'm way under-leveled.
The fire giant guy?
The way my build setup is just not good against him. So I'm like, I need to get over-leveled, and I'm at level 95.
I do remember that one being tough. You remember that fight, Cole? The fire giant?
I'm not there yet.
You didn't finish it?
No, I'm still like, this is the game. That's what I want to do before Game of the Year is finish Elden Ring.
Good luck. We better team up.
But I call in people. Look, when I'm stuck after a while, if I'm stuck for like 30 minutes, I start calling in folks.
Let's do it. I'm in the Elden Ring swing. I've been playing it pretty much all week. And I've been just getting through like all the stuff I decided not to do. So I just said, you know what? Because they said the recommended level for the giant is like 110. I'm like, I don't feel like just grinding. I'm just gonna do stuff around the world and get to that. And
you are close to the end though if you're at the far right. Well,
yeah, no, I looked up how far it is, and I'm like, maybe I'll play until I beat it and then also beat Millennia. Like I think that's what I'm okay with not doing everything else. Because one thing this game doesn't do that I hate is it doesn't tell you when you've already done something. It expects you to like mark that yourself.
Yep.
And I'm like, at some point, I feel like I get it. I get it from software. I understand. Like, oh, we gotta make the game as hard as possible. I get it. But you could have at least told me when I finished the dungeon already. Because now I gotta check.
You gotta mark it. You gotta journal.
I wasn't doing
out.
that. No one told. Like, they should have at least said that in some tutorial. Like, you should mark these.
What tutorial?
Whatever that brief tutorial was at the start, where they tell you how to punch and kick. It should also tell you like, oh, mark them as you go, because it's gonna be real horrible in the end game if you don't. And so yeah, I've been trying to just go through all the stuff that I was too underleveled to kill before, because I love my build now. I think I have a really good build. So just going through that, having a lot of fun with that. And then as I was playing that, I'm like, you know what? I should try out Sekiro. And I'm liking it.
Yes.
I'm liking it. I've gotten through 3 bosses. I think is the combat as good as Elden Ring? Hell no.
Agreed to
Hell
disagree.
no.
Agreed
Hell
to
no.
disagree.
It's really good though. Like, it's a really good combat system. It's way different than all the other From Software games. Like, I feel like Elden Ring is like
good.
chill. Elden Ring is a like amalgamation of all their combat systems. Like I see, like you can play Elden Ring like Bloodborne, you can play it like Sekiro, you could play it like just regular Dark Souls. Sekiro, you are locked into this new play style, and I do like the structure system. Not structure. That's yeah. Thank you.
Sifu.
But it's called something.
I forget. It's something like
Yeah.
It's the same concept in Sifu where you have that block bar.
Yeah, I think it's called structure in Sifu. I think that's what's confusing me. But yeah, I like that a lot. I think it's very unique to the game. I just think the game, like, I wish there was more story because I'm actually intrigued with the world, and it's doing the From Software thing of we're not going to tell you shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, with this game, I wish you had just done a regular story. So that's my only thing I don't like about Sekiro so far, but I hope that changes down the road. I'm playing on Steam Deck and PC, so having a good time with that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Wait.
So I think we should get.
I have one real quick.
You have 2 seconds. Go.
I've been playing Vampire Survivors as well, and it's good. It's good. It's a good mobile. It's a mobile game. It's good. That's it. Okay.
I'm playing it soon. It should come to Switch. I hope it comes to Switch at some point. That'd be a good Switch game.
Me too.
But enough about vampires. Enough about Nintendo. Let's talk about Xbox. It's been a busy couple weeks for Xbox, and we were going to talk about Xbox last week, but we had to talk about game awards and everything, so we kind of went over. So let's make up for some lost time. There's been a lot going on with Xbox in the news, from them basically making an agreement with both Steam and Nintendo to keep Call of Duty on both of those for at least 10 years. And that came on the heels of the FTC announcing that they seek to block Microsoft Corp's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. And this comes straight from the FTC website. The FTC is seeking to block technology giant Microsoft from acquiring lead video game developer Activision Blizzard and its blockbuster gaming franchises such as Call of Duty, alleging that the $69 billion deal, Microsoft's largest ever and the largest ever in video games industry, would enable Microsoft to suppress competitors to its Xbox gaming system and its rapidly growing subscription content and cloud gaming business.
Ooh.
Lot there. Sounds very much like it sounds like it's some really serious stuff going on. You think it's like about video games, but we are seeing. I didn't think the FTC would move this way, but this is the reality now. What are our thoughts on this? And I guess overall, what is our confidence that this deal is still going to go through?
I'll let our legal expert Cole take the stage because he knows way more about this than me.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really looked that much into this, but I kind of think that this is just part of the process. And I feel like it's probably, I think it's like a 50-50 chance through. Like,
really that high?
Wow.
No, I was thinking before this, it was like 75% chance going to happen, 25% not. Now it's this move might need it with 50-50.
Wow.
Are y'all thinking there's like 25% chance it goes through now?
Alfredo, what's your percentage?
I was thinking it's going to go through like 90%. Like
even with the FTC?
Yeah, well, for me also, again, someone who knows nothing about this, and only it's speculation, but let me know if I'm wrong, but I feel like the FTC always has stuff like this. Like,
yeah,
with
that's what I'm saying.
It's pretty standard protocol, right? For something of this nature to be challenged when there is some sort of big accusation or acquisition trying to.
I don't think it's always the case, but it does happen
for the big ones. Like I remember with I think who was doing merger? AT&T was doing that merger, right? And a couple of years back, and they did the same thing where they're like, okay, there's going to be challenges to this, so they have their little hearings and all of that, but at the end of the day, it still went through. And I feel like there have been a couple of big deals in the past I'm gonna look up some in a little bit
I'm with
that
you on that
set
too. Like,
precedent for this.
I'm kind of with you too. Like, there's been much bigger deals than this. I feel like that have been like AT&T. What was it? AT&T and Time Warner back a long time ago.
Yes,
That one
yeah.
went through. There was a didn't Comcast merge with somebody, or an acquisition, and then Disney has bought 20th Century Fox, and they bought Marvel. They bought Star Wars. Like,
Yep, exactly.
but yeah,
And they all went
maybe
through.
so. Maybe Thomas, what were you thinking? Were you on the opposite side? Were you thinking that there was like the chance was it wasn't going to go through after this?
So I was with you all before where it's like, yeah, I thought it's most likely going to go through. I'm at 60-40 where I think it's going to go through, but I've said that I think it's not going to go through without concessions.
Oh
Um,
yeah, and I
I
think we're
think
seeing that already because PlayStation and Nintendo are both out here trying to squeeze everything they can from Xbox.
I
They
think it's just
starting with Call
PlayStation to
of
be
Duty,
honest.
right?
I don't see Nintendo really squeezing. I think it's all PlayStation that's
Mhm.
put this pressure on them. I think there's some factors that make this different than other FTC blockings. For example, I mean, FTC is not just this no-name thing. It changes within administrations. And so the last big entertainment merger that I can remember is the Disney one, where they bought
Mhm.
Fox,
Yeah.
and that was under Donald Trump. That was under a Republican government. So I would assume that that would have gone differently than this is going to go, because this is with a like I've looked up the leader of the FTC. She's very young. She's 33 years old. So she's not it's she's very young, very much, new to this. She assumed office last year, and she's been very much against corporate mergers, like big tech corporate mergers. Been a very big enemy of Amazon, to the point where Amazon asked her to be recused of any dealings with her because
Really interesting.
so it doesn't surprise me that it wouldn't surprise me if she tried to make this a thing of we're not going to let this happen. We're taking a stand. Like the it's not the same FTC as what we've had before. Now, it's not that the FTC there's a process for this. So it's not just the FCC blocks this and they can't go through. It's a whole legal process to it. So it could still go through. I do think that PlayStation, I don't know why, but I feel like they're leaning a lot on PlayStation's words on this. And I've been really iffy on whether this has been a good thing overall for the industry. Cause I feel like it's such a mixed bag. Because for me, when I think of Xbox, I think of a company that has struggled to maintain their first party studios for a sizable amount of time now. It's been at least since the Xbox One generation that they have not had a good handle on exclusives. And PlayStation has been at their best when it comes to exclusives, since I feel like from PlayStation 4 to now, Sony is just batting at a different average.
Even before that. Well, yeah, that's when they
No,
really
I feel like
came
before
into.
that there was still I feel like there was still a good amount of competition.
Yeah. Well,
I
I
feel
would
like
say
since
PS3.
okay, that's fair.
But
I'd
I
say
feel you.
I'd say PS4, they have just been on a tear in terms of their exclusives. And Microsoft chose not to develop any studios. Microsoft chose to buy studios. And that is not something that is really been seen in terms of you're buying these studios that have relationships as being multi-platform.
And the interesting
That's
part
not
is
something
that
I've seen before.
yeah, and they have, well, now as of what, a couple of E3s ago, like 3 or 4 years, when they unleashed their master plan of saying, oh, we have these 9 first party studios or what, or however the number was, and we haven't seen too much from them since. They've come out with stuff, like we've gotten As Dust Falls, right? We've gotten We've gotten some games, but none of them, like you said, have been on Sony's level. And what I find funny is that that's in some of the arguments for whether or not why Xbox is saying, oh, this is why it should go through. And one of the literal excuses that they gave is because we don't have as many exclusives as Sony does. So, it will even out the playing field. That's literally an excuse that they gave for legally for having it go through, which is ridiculous.
But the problem is, because I feel like I've read a whole bunch of Discord online, and a lot of people are like, well, no one has a problem when Sony releases exclusive games, and it's like that's not the same argument.
Yeah.
Xbox has bought a multi-platform developer that develops games on both. Well, sometimes in the case, 4 different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And they are now the owners of it. Sony has never done anything of that scale. They're not able to.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the core problem. It's like Microsoft did this, and I don't think it's a bad thing per se, but it is. I feel like it should raise some eyelids as to, okay, they can do this and they still can afford to do it again.
Right.
And I think their intentions on this, whether they say it or not, initially was they're buying this to eventually block Sony from, like, they want to build out their system to where you can only play these games on Xbox, whether it's in the future or whatever. Now they've backpedaled on that with the Call of Duty deal and all this stuff. Like, since I think they kind of like saw like, oh shit, we're getting in too deep now. Let's go ahead. Let's say that Call of Duty is good for 10 years, be available on PlayStation or Switch or whatever. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, you're right. Because first they did say, oh, it's for the foreseeable future. Then they said it's going to be on there for 3 years, then 6, and now it's up to 10. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's fluid. It's fluid for sure. But on the other hand, Activision Blizzard was in a very toxic situation.
Oh yeah,
not even a year ago.
And Xbox can probably fix it, or they're in a good position to be able.
And
to
so
handle that.
and I've looked up, like, a lot of the unions that represent a lot of the workers for Activision Blizzard are very much in support of this move.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this is like the good guys coming in and taking over. Like, this is
Right.
such. I feel like it's good PR for Microsoft from, like, a gamer perspective and stuff. Like, coming in, and Microsoft comes in, and then they start, tearing down walls, putting up Xbox symbols. Like, we're changing stuff.
Yeah, we're all these games are gonna be on Game Pass. Like, you can be able to play any Call of Duty you want on Game Pass for free.
Yeah, they're the good guys.
Yeah, they are. But I do understand what Sony is saying, where it's like, Sony is, I think, looking at past, even though they're only talking about the Activision stuff and Call of Duty, I think they're looking at past that, where they're like, are you gonna buy Square Enix next? Are you gonna buy Ubisoft next? Like, what's next? Because you can theoretically buy, they can probably buy 4 more. Yeah, they can. I don't think they might Take Two, but they can buy like a Ubisoft.
They got money
Take-Two,
though.
Take-Two was not valued as much as Activision Blizzard.
I don't know.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, Sony is scared that this is gonna cut down their bottom line, right? Because at any time they might be like, "Oh, this Call of Duty isn't exclusive anymore," and Sony doesn't have an answer to that, right?
Well, not based on that 10-year deal. If it's not a 10-year deal,
the FTC specifically said, they quoted in one of the articles I was just looking at. The FTC said, "Well, I guess when Microsoft was saying, look, we're not going to withhold anything," they said, "Well, you've done it already with when you bought Bethesda." You withhold Starfield, and you got where they get Obsidian, and then they withheld, what was that game? That space game they had that was
Starfield
released. No, the other one.
Obsidian with the Star game?
Obsidian, the
Outer Worlds.
Oh yeah.
That's I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. That's
Outer Worlds. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and that's the fear, where it's like Xbox is going to be taking games that were also on PlayStation and making them exclusive to Xbox. That is not developing your own exclusives. That is taking exclusives.
Yeah.
And
just with money, just buying it.
Right. And they're the only ones that can really do that. Yeah. Now, the one thing Sony keeps saying is this is going to, like, ruin us. And it might not. Like, they're making bad arguments.
They're trying to be the victims.
Yeah, and, like, for example, they're talking about, like, I don't know if it was the FTC or the UK, like one of those, one of the trade commissions, they were like, yeah, Nintendo doesn't count. Nintendo's like make kid games. It's like, well, the Switch is the highest selling console of that generation.
And
And
also,
it came out like 3 years after the other consoles came out, and it's already past the PlayStation 4.
And also, if your argument is that like this acquisition will, ruin us, isn't that just capitalism in general? Like,
Yeah.
that's just the game. If
And
you
also,
keep
like,
putting out the exclusives, you'll be fine.
and
what
like
it's
you
probably
can
gonna go through.
you can get Bungie to make you a competitive shooter.
Yeah, a Call of Duty competitive shooter. Yeah,
But you can definitely do
Destiny.
that. Call it Halo, like call it like
This may be
despite them.
this may be
And they're doing
unpopular
it.
opinion, y'all. But Call of Duty's, I don't think what it was. It's not what it was 5-6 years
Oh,
ago.
it's not.
The sales
Yeah.
will definitely disagree with you.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? I know, but
Like
I
Modern Warfare
still-
1 and 2, oh man, like those things. Oh, like,
Oh,
Don't
I
y'all
thought
feel
you
like
said
that, though?
Halo, not Call of Duty.
No,
Okay.
Call of Duty,
I'm like,
like-
what?
I feel like Fortnite has taken a lot of that market share for whatever reason. I mean,
not in
because-
terms of sales.
Maybe not. Maybe I guess not. But
Sales are like Call of Duty still
Yes,
sells.
they're
like
breaking
crazy.
numbers every single day.
Yeah, and like Modern Warfare 2, I think it's gonna be the highest selling game of the year. And it came out so much later in the year. And I think it might be second to Pokemon, actually. I think Pokemon actually sold more.
I'd believe it.
so the
But-
sales aren't trending down at all for Call of Duty.
No,
No.
nope.
They're trending up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every time
Modern
a new one
Warfare
comes out,
Modern Warfare
yeah,
2019 was the highest selling Call of Duty game ever.
and that's like every single time they come out with a new Call of Duty.
2019.
Well,
though. What
Cold
about
War
20
wasn't. Cold War was a
2022?
step down.
Okay.
So the past 3 years though, have they been trending up?
Well, no, but they've been basically building up to Modern Warfare 2. And Modern Warfare 2 has come out, and that's sold like hotcakes. So Call of Duty is still very valuable.
No, I agree with that. I'm just
And
saying.
and Sony is very much not wanting to
Let go of
be
it.
without it. But at the same time, like if you're gonna get 10 years with Call of Duty, that's enough time for you to develop a Call of Duty competitor. This is.
Exactly. And yeah,
I
that's
don't
why I'm
feel any
like,
sympathy
have
for
it,
'em.
let it happen. It will allow for competition, for more competition. Sony will actually have to come out with a competitive shooter or
Right.
one along the lines of Call of Duty. All of that. Maybe bring back SOCOM. Who knows? Or
10
develop
years is a
something
long
new.
time.
Yeah,
10 years is
it's
a
a long
long
time.
like we don't even know what the condition of Call of Duty will be in. We might get Fortnite 2 by then.
Well,
So
or season 3. Are we in season
Probably.
2? I don't know.
I don't know either. But I think that Sony is doing what they need to do. They're like, if we can get this blocked, let's get it blocked. Like
Exactly.
the fuck?
Or
So
let's like
I-
drag it out as much as possible. I feel like that's what
Right.
they're in. They're like, okay, let's push it as much as possible, even though it's gonna go through. But like, let's try to give us as much time as possible so we can develop something that will combat everything that Activision will bring on the table. We need a Call of Duty competitor. We need else do they have? I don't know.
That's it.
Diablo.
That's it.
They got Diablo. They got
They don't need.
They
They
got
don't need a
League.
Diablo clone. Nobody plays Diablo.
They got
Sorry,
a lot
bro.
of stuff.
I know.
They got a lot of stuff, is all I'm saying. But hey, I'm all for it because you know why?
The thing is,
Game Pass.
Xbox not going to take all that stuff off of Play. That's the one thing I like. They're not going to take Overwatch off of PlayStation.
No.
Like that's the main
free.
thing.
It's
Like
free to
I don't
play
think
anyway.
I don't even think that Xbox even is thinking about it like that. Truth be
Oh,
told,
I think
maybe
they-
Call
they
of Duty
are,
they were thinking
though.
about.
They
It.
are.
No, I think they were thinking about it for
Call
Call of Duty, but I don't think for all the other. I don't think they're gonna test the Blizzard games and take those off PlayStation. I don't think they're gonna. do that.
They're probably saying, "Look, we're not going to take it off, but that card, that tool is on our tool belt. If we ever need to, we can pull it."
Well, no, I don't even think they're gonna do that because they don't want the bad PR. When all they have to do is just put everything on Game Pass, and it's like, all right, you're gonna pay 60, or you? I'm
Or
sorry,
you're
you're
gonna
gonna pay
get Game
70.
Pass.
Are you gonna pay 70 for this Call of
but
Duty, or are
it's
you gonna
the-
get it on Game Pass for free?
Mhm.
But imagine a world where they are competing with PlayStation. PlayStation has its Game Pass, and they're very competitive. And
But you know what that
with
Game
the
Pass will
flick
never
of a
have?
Switch, with the flick of a switch, they take off Overwatch, Call of Duty, like whatever.
But that's bad
Bethesda
PR.
games.
Microsoft's not gonna do that. Like,
Is it bad? Is bad PR? But then again, it's where all the games are. Do gamers really care about bad PR? They're going to go where games are.
Yeah,
I
but
think
people will
that
be
it's
pissed.
already a boon for them to just say, you can pay $70 to play it on PlayStation,
I
or you
agree.
can get it for free on Game. I think that is a good
That's the
enough
argument
sell
right there.
that they don't ever have to take it off of PlayStation. That's already
Hey,
good
well, they
enough.
could charge $85.
85.
Look,
Okay.
5 years, 10,
You're
10
gonna have
years from
people.
now, y'all.
You're gonna have people marching. You're gonna have people marching
Hey, that's
outside
fine.
their
Look, y'all want to
studios.
play it over there? Pay us $150. You can play it on
Wow.
PlayStation.
Don't let Cole be in charge of my
Right. You're fired.
You're.
No, I'd be putting the dagger in.
Oh man, you'll be twisting
Yeah.
that knife for sure. Yeah, this. Like I said, I think it's gonna go through, but I do think there's gonna be concessions. I think they're gonna have to put in writing. You're gonna put Call of Duty on all platforms for at least 10 years, at minimum. And I don't think they're gonna let them acquire King. I have a feeling that is a big
Acquire
part
what?
of it too. King.
What's
That's the mobile gaming part of this.
I had no idea.
I don't think they're gonna let them do that. I think that is gonna be a big. I think people aren't talking about that. That's a big piece. That's the most valuable part of the whole deal. Like all the
Mobile gaming is huge.
microtransactions that like Candy Crush makes. Yeah, I think that's a big. I think they're gonna be like, yeah, you gotta just. That has to be its own company. Like you can't own that. And that same thing was made for like there were concessions with the Disney deal. Even like Disney,
Yeah, that's true.
they couldn't have fired Fox News. That was one thing.
Yeah.
Like they I don't think Disney really wanted it
I don't
either.
Yeah,
think
they
they
don't
wanted
want
it. I think that was the deal. They wanted everything but Fox News.
That's toxic for them, for their
Yeah.
brand. But yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of concessions made, but overall, it's going through.
Yeah, it's going. I'm still at my 90%. It's happening. I think it's
It
happening.
probably is. Yep.
And I'm gonna get all these beautiful games on Game Pass, and I'm gonna be very happy.
Yep, it is definitely going to happen, most likely. But you know it is happening. I got something that's even more secure than that. We're getting Spider-Man in fall 2023. This comes to us from, of course, IGN. Insomniac Games has announced that Spider-Man 2 will launch on PlayStation 5 in fall 2023. It was revealed in a PlayStation blog post that it is sticking to its promised 2023 release year. And
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I believe it. It's going to be
I'm
two-player
beyond
co-op,
words.
right?
We'll see.
I just
That's
think
not
it's
confirmed.
Wait, what
We'll
is
see.
it
I've been
confirmed?
saying that. I've been saying this forever. Two-player. I don't think it's
No.
confirmed, but
It's
Spider-Man
already
2,
demystified. They
two
said
players.
no 2 players.
Really?
Yeah, they already said it.
The thing is, I'll be honest with you, Cole. I don't know if I'd like that very much, to be honest. Like,
I would.
I remember
You
I
want
would
the
love it.
I've heard people talk about it for a while, and every time they said it, I'm like, I don't want this to be a Gotham Knights thing. Like,
There's a difference,
let's avoid
though.
the co-op, please.
But there's a difference, right? This could, there's Gotham Knights,
difference
and then
is
there's
they're not doing it.
Insomniac. There's Insomniac multiplayer. I would trust Insomniac to pull it off.
I would too, but Insomniac was like, let's not do that. I think this game is already going to have a lot going on that I don't think it really needs a multiplayer component to it, a co-op component. I don't think it needs that.
I'm ready to
But-
see more though. I hope it doesn't suffer what, and I don't think it's going to. I knew when God of War Ragnarok was announced, I just felt it in my bones. It was going to be more of the same.
Mhm.
But this, I really feel like it's going to feel. I'm not gonna. I feel like I'm not gonna have that problem with this game.
I don't know. I think it will. The problem, I guess, the problem for me is that we got Spider-Man, which greatest game ever. Then we got Miles Morales, right? Which was more of the same.
One of the
but-
greatest
yeah,
games ever.
but still
But,
good.
but we all expected that on that one. That
Yeah.
was kind of a medium, like.
And even that had enough changes
Yeah,
where
it
I thought it
was.
was
I
justified.
It was it was but I would still, I don't know. I felt like it was,
It was
more
a $50 game
more
too.
of the same, right? And it was a good game, but it was more of the same.
Yeah, it was.
For me
Yeah.
personally, I'm not expecting that much more of, I guess, a generational type jump of a new Spider-Man game. I think it's going to be awesome because that's what Insomniac does. But I do think it will be kind of more of the same, just with 2 playable characters. Maybe more.
So-
Who knows?
I think there's going to be a fundamental difference, maybe in location or something, that's going to make this feel a lot different. Like I
I
think
think you're
it's
getting
gonna
the whole
But it's-
boroughs. I think that's it. I feel like that is the next step. Because that's the part that's clearly missing from the first one, where you can even kind of see them. but they're not like accessible.
Mm-hmm.
I
You
think
don't
you're
think we're gonna go to
definitely
London or
getting
something
all
like
the
that?
boroughs of New York. I think that you're going to. I think go for like a Grand Theft Auto 5 thing, Cole,
Like,
where you
I
can
mean,
switch between Miles and
That
Peter on
would
the
be
fly.
cool.
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah, I
think.
could see that. I could see that, and I could see him going like to London or something crazy. Like,
I also think this is controversial. I think it's gonna be 3 just like Grand Theft Auto 5.
I think so, and I think it's gonna be Spider-Gwen.
No,
Really? Who do you think?
it's gonna be
Venom?
Venom.
I could
Yeah.
see that.
Because we already know he's in the game, and we
Mhm.
already know who it is. So it's like
I would think
I
he
think
would be
that
the
should-
villain, the main antagonist, though.
I think it's gonna be. I think this game. I think there's a possibility that there's some tie-in between this game and the Into the Spider-Verse
That'd be
movie.
very cool.
Because we already know that this Spider-Man is in that movie.
but I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
we
that's
do.
more- I
He
feel
was
like
in
that's
the
more
latest
just a
trailer.
cameo, but I don't know. That would be awesome if it was.
I think they're coming out the same year. I think that's like I feel like
Perfect
it's a missed
timing.
opportunity. Maybe it's just DLC, but I think there is going to be some tie in between those two things.
That would be amazing. I actually think that they're gonna eventually do it into the Spider-Verse video game, and that's where you'll get your 2-player, 3-player, 4-player Spider-Man co-op action.
Now, what if
As a live
that
action
is the
game.
fundamental? What if that's the fundamental
Service.
difference? What if this is a not into the Spider Verse like in that realm, but this is a multiverse game?
What about that? And
That would
I
be-
would
I think
love
that's
that.
too ambitious, though, right?
That would be incredible.
It would be
though.
incredible, but
God, it'd be incredible.
I feel like for that you would have to start. I feel like they wouldn't have that as a surprise. That would be too big of a surprise. That would break my mind.
But we
I
haven't
feel like,
seen- we haven't seen a
and
trailer.
honestly, I want to believe that,
Me
Cole,
too.
but they just did a multiverse game
Yeah.
with Ratchet and Clank.
I think that
Yeah, but
might be
this would
Spider-Man 3.
Oh, this would be incredible.
That could
Yeah,
be
I
Spider-Man
agree. Yeah,
3.
absolutely.
Could
and
you
that
They
would-
might
imagine
just do
imagine
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse
Yeah.
as their third game.
Imagine the next trailer, they drop it, and it's kind of like the Into the Spider Verse trailer, but it's like Tobey Maguire if they take his mask off, and like Andrew Garfield.
And they made like the ultimate Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Hey, stop it.
Hey, I feel
Cody,
like
you give my,
I mean-
you give my hype too high.
look, I'm calling it right now. That's gonna be like their little end credits thing. End credits for Spider-Man 2. It's gonna be like Peter Parker goes into like a dimension, or a dimension hole opens up, and then we'll see another Spider-Man come through, something like that. I think that will probably
Like Tom
be
Holland comes out of nowhere.
Please no, please not that. But
Wait, what?
Anyone
Oh,
else.
whoa,
I don't-
is
I
that
don't
Tom
want-
Holland hate?
no, I don't want. It's not Tom Holland hate. I just don't.
Hey,
I don't want them to mix and match like the movies. I don't want them to have like that.
You wouldn't be
happen.
excited if they
I
had
would be.
like Tobey Maguire like
They
in the
can bring
game.
Tobey Maguire. I'll be fine with
But
that.
they
But
can't
don't
bring
do Tom.
Tom-
No, don't
y'all,
do Tom.
I don't
Holland.
think it's. I think 10 years ago, no way in hell that happens. But this day and age,
It could
it's
happen.
a possibility, y'all. And this sets up the stage perfectly for a multiplayer mode.
Yes.
Like imagine a light flashes in the sky and Alfredo swings into my game. And like light flashes in the sky, and from the multiverse, here comes Thomas swinging in. We're all playing together.
They
This,
could.
this is sounding like
Doing the-
Spider-Man 3 though.
But,
this
well-
is sounding like this would be the next game.
But what they could do, they could pull a Ghost of Tsushima, right? They could. Game comes out, then 3 months or 2 months later, multiplayer mode comes out, which is very, very good, and it's standalone and all of that. They could do that, or they could, make a whole separate live service game, which is what I think they'll actually
But-
do.
I don't think multiplayer really works with Spider. Like I can't even imagine what that even looks like with this game because
Like-
I like the game, but I love Spider-Man 1. But all you're doing
Spider-Verse,
is
what do you mean?
you're swinging and you're going to like different crime areas.
Yeah, you're being
get
a
together.
superhero with other people.
You're like Cole. Me and Alfredo are over here on this rooftop. We're on top of the Empire State Building.
How is
taking on these
that
guys.
not
Come here and help us.
appealing to you,
That's
Thomas?
incredible. And
It's
y'all are like
just
getting
not-
beat up, ganged on, and I come
Yeah.
swinging in.
I feel like Spider-Man's a very solo superhero.
But there's
Like,
a
think
whole
about- remember
movie
there's-
for it.
Remember
Into
the start of
Spider-Verse.
Miles Morales where like you're with Peter and everything, and it's like the game does not feel right until Peter's gone and it's just you.
I mean, yeah, because you already know he's not gonna be there,
But
and this is
how
about
you
Miles.
make it different. This is how you change this game. You
Yeah.
make it
We'll always have the single player experience, Thomas. That's not going
I-
away. We just want
We have
something
two
a
of
little
those. We have
something more.
Miles Morales and the Spider-Man 2018.
This leads into our next topic, Alfredo. But you know what's gonna happen?
What?
Spider-Man 2 is gonna release, and it's gonna be no co-op. You know what they're gonna announce?
What?
Their equivalent of Last of Us factions, which is
Uh,
Spider-Verse. It's gonna just be
Oh.
called Spider-Verse,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's gonna
yeah,
be
yeah. I'm here for it.
and it's going to be delayed until like 2026. It's like Final Fantasy. I'm sorry, just like
Probably.
Last of Us factions.
No, they won't announce it. They'll just be like, "Hey, we're also making this later." Once it's ready. That's how Insomniac does it. Once it's ready, then they'll announce it.
They're already still
they're
working on
masters
Wolf.
of it.
Do you think we'll get a Wolverine cameo?
Yeah, we're getting Wolverine cameo
I
for
don't
sure.
think so.
I don't think so.
I
Like
think for sure.
part of me is thinking I don't think they're going because I feel like if you do the Wolverine cameo, you're implying that okay, this is just its own Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
I don't think Insomniac, I don't think they are on board with making a whole entire like Marvel Cinematic Universe in there. I don't think they're
Then why
there.
are they making they themselves are making a Wolverine game and a Spider-Man game? That
I think they can do it
too
as separate
coincidental.
entities. I don't want this to turn into okay, they're making like a Avengers Civil War game. I don't want that to be this.
Yeah.
I would prefer if we keep these kind of separated.
I get you, but we're
You
getting
can
the
do an
cameo.
X-Men game. I'm
We're
going to
getting
do
the
an
cameo.
X-Men game, but when you start and I like that. Like I think Spider-Man 1 did it perfectly, where it's like Avengers Tower is in the game, you know.
Mhm.
But so we know that they exist in this universe. But I don't want this to just turn into a team-up game.
Mhm.
Well,
You don't want
can't-
this to
I mean,
be
it's just
Marvel's Ultimate Alliance.
yeah,
Right.
They'd be biting off more than they can chew.
Exactly. And I think that them keeping these separate is probably best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
You're gonna
And
get
maybe
a cameo.
hinting at it.
You're gonna get, your Logan's gonna come in a bar and you'll get like a little thing where like he says something and that'll be it. It won't be.
I'm
this
good
whole
with
big
that at
thing.
the end
You'll
of the
just get a
game.
little
Like,
thing.
okay, as like the end credit, you know?
Yeah.
Cool.
You'll just get
But
him
I-
being somewhere, and then
But
he'll
I
leave.
don't need that to come like in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
And like Wolverine's here for the rest of the game. Like,
Yeah,
nah.
I don't think that'll happen. No, it'll just be literally they'll show him, they'll give a little hint. Oh, remember we're making this cool game too. Okay, bye. That's it.
I think you'll get a subtle hint. It won't
Yeah.
be the character. It will be something else. Like
some
see his
you know his
outfit,
little his
yeah,
things will come
claws,
out, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I'm doubting this. This is my
But-
favorite studio.
well,
I don't know why I'm doubting them.
We might get I could see them putting another X-Men in the game though for an actual mission or as an actual character to like kind of allude to
I feel like
Wolverine
you-
instead.
Oh, I don't
I feel like
want
you're
that at
opening up
all. I
Pandora's
want
box, though.
I kind of the same way. This is off topic in like movies, but the same way, like I don't want that Batman movie, like the new Batman movie. I don't want there to just like a Green Lantern to show up in that. Like I like this because
Green
Spider-Man
Lantern?
has I don't want like another superhero to show up in like this new
Oh,
Batman
okay,
series.
I got ya.
I like this being this separated thing because because Spider-Man is unique in this like he's like
He's
once
friendly
you start
neighborhood
saying okay
Spider-Man.
the other Avengers are patrolling New York too, then my head canon starts popping in like all right, where's Doctor Strange? Like where like all this stuff, the city is being destroyed when Doctor Strange is chilling in the thing.
The sanctum.
You know, like I don't want like I'm good with
Yeah,
there
he
being
don't
like
care.
Easter eggs to it. I don't want them to add these characters in there now, you know, because then it's like a whole thing. And like Cole said, I think they're gonna be biting off more than they can chew.
If
And
anyone,
that's saying something.
I trust Insomniac to do. I think we can trust them to do the right thing, whether it's a
Yeah.
cameo or putting an actual character in there. I
That's
think
true.
they'll be tasteful. They know what they're doing.
God help us if they try to link this to the MCU. God help us. Like they open a portal in one of the Disney Plus shows, and you see like
That'd be
God-
terrible. That
Who
would be
knows?
terrible.
God help us. God help us. But like I said, I had a perfect segue. I gave up on it, but we're back to it. Of course, we have to talk about The Last of Us Part 3, reportedly in pre-development, I'm sorry. A reliable leaker. And of course, this comes to us from PlayStationLifestyle.net. A reliable leaker has claimed that The Last of Us 3 has entered development, and Naughty Dog co-president Neil Druckmann and is in charge once again. I don't want this to be true so bad. But what are y'all thoughts on this?
The part 3 part, or just another Last of Us game in general? Because
It's
another Last of Us game is happening.
here's my thing. Like, I do not want this to turn into the Naughty Dog franchise.
Like it was for Uncharted?
Yeah, because the thing is with Uncharted, for me, like I love Uncharted. Uncharted just had a better like vibe to it in terms of like it's very upbeat, you know?
Indiana
The Last of Us
Jones.
is the most like depressing game. Last of Us Part 2 is
I love
literally the
it.
most depressing game I've ever played.
I love it. It really is, honestly.
Like it
And I
is,
love it.
it's impressive how depressing it is. Like there's no optimism in it at all. So I hope that Last of Us Part 3 would be more optimistic.
Mhm. I think it will be. I really
I'd
think it
ho-
will be. Because
I'd
they've
hope
done
so.
the, all hope is lost kind of thing. They've done that already. And I don't think they would do the same thing twice.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I wish, and look, and this article also says they are also rumored to be working on a new IP. Uncharted is currently in the process of being rebooted by a different studio,
Hmm.
and the multiplayer for Last of Us Part 2, which is now its own project, Last of Us Factions, that is going to come out first. So it's not that it's going to be their next game. I wish there would. I hope the new IP is before this. Like I want some buffer in between Last of Us Part 2 and Part 3.
Hmm.
And maybe that's partially because I feel that Last of Us Part 2 wasn't their most successful game ever. And I think they need it's Naughty Dog, they're still one of the best studios in the world. I feel like they need a jolt in the arm from a fan's perspective. I feel like The Last of Us Part 2 is not the most, it's not like it reviewed really well, but it's a very divisive game for a lot of the fan base.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like them releasing something that is loved would be good for the next game.
Hmm.
And maybe that's Factions. Maybe Factions will be the next thing and everybody loves it, gets 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10s. Maybe it's the new IP they're rumored on, which is rumored to be a fantasy setting, which I think will be cool.
Ooh, I don't. Ooh, that's
Naughty Dog. I trust them. I trust them with that. I think
I
that'd be
don't
cool.
know, but now I'm thinking about Final Fantasy. But I think if they did like do a fantasy, it would be more along the lines of Game of Thrones ish. I guess
That'd be cool.
I could see
Yeah.
that. I could see that happening. I don't know. First of all, there's a lot to unpack here, right? Because for the last, like you said, Last of Us 2 was very divisive. I really loved it, but I just don't know where they go from here in terms of Last of Us Part 3. Is it the biggest question that I have is the next entry in The Last of Us going to be The Last of Us Part 3 where we're going to it's a part 3. We're continuing the story that we've been on. Or are we doing some sort of spin-off? Are we going to be in a new location with new characters? And then, we might see some returning characters, like we might see, Ellie. We might see her. Or is it going to be the continuation of Ellie's story? That's my problem, because when you say part 3, that means that makes it sound like we're continuing the same story that we've been on. And I don't think that's a good idea. I personally don't want to see the same exact story that we've been on, because I feel like The Last of Us has this really, really unique world and setting where they can drop you in another city, for example, with new characters, and it will be a phenomenal 10 out of 10 game. Like, they could do it. But I feel like I don't want the same old characters. I feel like the story they told has been done. They told the story that they wanted, and they need to move on. But you can still keep it in the same setting, but give us some new characters. So I hope it's not an actual true part 3. I hope it's like The Last of Us, I don't know, New York or whatever. Not New York. That would be lame.
What are you thinking, Cole?
I'm kind of excited that they're gonna do The Last of Us. I'd much rather see Last of Us again than Uncharted, but more than anything, I'd like to see Naughty Dog do something new. So I'm with you, Thomas. I hope they do the new thing first, and Last of Us Part 3, let's just set that aside for a little bit. Come back to that 5 years from now.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, just to cut you off, but I would like if they just always save The Last of Us as the swan song of the console generation.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
I think that'd be a cool thing. That'd be a cool tradition because Last of Us Part 3, swan song of PlayStation 3, Last of Us Part 2, swan song of the PlayStation 4. Make Last of Us Part 3 the swan song of PlayStation 5. I think it'd be perfect.
Yeah. Now, I don't think this is going to be lighthearted or anything. It's going to be dark.
Oh yeah.
No, it's gonna be like Santa Claus. It's gonna be like the Santa Claus movies.
Yeah.
Not as dark as Part 2.
But I'm with Alfredo. Like, I don't want to see. It's Part 3, so this needs to be Part 3 of Ellie's story. You know, you can't just. I don't think you can have a Part 3 and go tell us a sub story.
Right.
I think we're done. I think Ellie's story's done in terms of like.
So you think just the development name is Last of Us Part 3? It's going to be like Last of Us New York.
Yeah, like something.
I think that you're gonna follow. And look, we're gonna. Can I do the spoilers now, Alfredo?
Okay, spoilers for The Last of Us Part 2. It's been like what, 2 years?
Enough time to play it, y'all. It's a 20-hour game.
Yeah. Okay, you had enough time. We're doing spoilers for Last of Us Part 2. Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I think you're gonna follow Abby and
what is their name? I forgot.
I don't know
Lev.
the name.
Lev.
Lev. You're gonna follow Abby and Lev for most of that game, and it's gonna be very much a Joel and Ellie type thing.
I would hate that personally.
I don't think they're gonna do that.
They've done it already.
I think they really want those characters to get, because they really like those characters.
They do, but
they devoted half of the last game to that whole storyline. Like, they are very much invested in trying to make this a whole universe.
Here's the problem, though. They developed that, right? I agree. They wanted it to be a thing, but the backlash that it did receive, Abby in particular, I don't think they would risk it. Making a game about like where you're Abby, I don't think they would do that, because that's setting yourself up for failure. That's where the divisiveness stemmed from. So I think just because of that, they won't. You might be able to play her for like a little section, but they ain't gonna make her like, she ain't gonna get much screen time.
You know what they should do? What I would prefer? They release a Last of Us 1.5. Like, I would much rather prefer if they told, let's say it's like a 10-hour experience. Hell, let's say it's an 8-hour experience. And you just tell one of the adventures that Joel, Ellie, and let's say, Tommy, like while they're at Jackson.
Yeah.
I'd much prefer that than them going for. If you stop the story, I think Part 2 is a pretty good ending, like a pretty good stopping point for the series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Ellie is moving on. She has learned her like lessons. She's trying to become a different person.
That should have been Part 3. Part 2 should have been Part 3.
It kind of was both. It was Part 2 and Part 3. That game was long.
I'd argue that game is too long too. So yeah, I'd agree. I think that game. That's one of those games I think should have been split in two.
I'm saying that game stays, instead of being Part 2, it's Part 3, and Last of Us Part 2 is what you're talking about. That filler area.
Make a filler.
Yeah, I mean, I've said many times that I would have preferred them to have not done I don't know how big it was, like what, a 5-6 year age jump.
Yeah, something.
I think a 2-3 year age jump would have been perfect.
Dude, and imagine that. Imagine Last of Us Part 2 ended like on a little bit more of a lighter note, and then Last of Us Part 3 comes in and kills Joel off in the beginning, and like that's how your trilogy is ending. That would be incredible.
Well,
that would have been
that's going to be the interesting thing, right? Because if this is Part 3. What will be the Part 2 was so intense that I can't even imagine what a Part 3 would look like.
I think I just want to leave it. I don't care. I don't even care what they do. I want to sit down and enjoy the story they want to tell me. And like most games, I really am just like, like Spider-Man 2. That's what I want. I want there to be the Spider-Verse, blah blah blah. Like Grand Theft Auto 6, I got so many plans. I want it to be this. This game, I'm good. I trust them to give me something compelling. Yeah. Whether we didn't like Last of Us Part 2 or not, it was a compelling game, and that game is fun to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the story, like I did feel something after I finished that game.
Oh,
I feel like it's
felt a lot.
impossible not to
the
feel
whole way.
something.
I feel that sense of dread like during the game. It was
Yeah.
Like, it did,
was
like,
special.
any game where it's like it's forcing me to fight Abby.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
And I'm like, I don't want to do this. And like that is like that is impressive. Like
Yeah.
it's impressive that they did make me feel this way. Like I'll never like talk super bad about it. It's just for me, those parts are not outweighed by the 20 hours that preceded that.
Mhm.
Where I could have cut half this shit.
Oh gosh, we're gonna need a whole Last of Us 2 spoiler cast
we are.
to get into this. But
I honestly think it's, I don't know Clan's opinion on it, but I know me and Ben kind of are on the same side with it. And
I don't want to hear Ben's teardown of that.
Yeah, I think that it's a perfect book
Wait,
book
so
game.
Alfredo, are
it
you
is.
more on my page where you were more positive on it than
Yeah.
they were?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Well,
for
I'm
sure.
positive on it
You're
from
just
a
a hater,
gameplay
Tommen.
perspective. No, from the gameplay perspective, bar none, the
See, I
best
thought it-
third person shooter
We're
I've
talking
ever
about
played.
everything. The
Everything. I thought it
story,
was great. I thought it was 10 out of 10.
everything.
My friend actually said something interesting because he vehemently
He's one of
hates the
those
game.
redditors who
Yeah.
Well,
goes on
the
and
thing is,
hates on it.
he watched the leaks early, so he already had it colored.
Mhm.
And I asked him like, "You're not even gonna play it?" Because I felt, even though I don't like this that much, I'm gonna play it all the way through. He's like, "I'm not playing all the way through, bro." I'm like,
Dude,
really?
I
Like,
knew what the
it-
spoiler
Did you guys
was by
get
the
the
internet's
leaks?
reaction. I didn't even read it, but everybody was all pissed. So I was like, okay, Joel dies. I mean,
Yeah, I inferred that he died too. I
didn't
see the
know.
leaks, though.
I truthfully didn't know. Like, I went into it completely blind, and I still, even blind, was like, "This is a horrible decision to happen right here in the game. Like, have this take place in the middle of the game or something. Like, not
was
at
very,
the beginning.
it was
Like,
very,
it
it reminded me of The Walking
You're still
Dead.
mad about it.
it's just such a like I'll never forget I remember I was playing the game with other people, and
Oh.
I'm like, this is amazing. Like everybody's like all taken aback, and I was like, isn't that the main character of the first game? I was like, yeah. And then see him getting beaten to death.
It reminded me of The
Me.
Walking Dead, Glenn, the Glenn death.
Yeah, that's true.
Very similar.
But I feel like the Glenn death was earned though. Like that was more. I definitely feel like that was way more earned than
I feel
Joel
like that
death.
Glenn death is one of the worst decisions in TV history. Like I feel like that they jumped the shark. That's the downfall of Walking Dead. Like from that moment,
That was a good episode, though.
it was
Of
a
The
good
Walking
Yeah, I'm
Dead.
saying like I remember when that
It was a good
happened. Like
episode.
I was positive. I didn't hate the decision.
No, I didn't
Yeah,
either. But
me
for
either.
whatever reason, it's like we reached this point and everything was downhill from that. I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
why.
I mean, because
Like,
you start at such a high,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, that show definitely went downhill.
It
But
did.
I felt that when that happened, that took the wind out of my sails, and I was like, and that's fine. I was like, all right, the game took the wind out my sails. It's gonna get it back, and
And
it
it did.
never truly
It
did because now it's like this character, because it really, to me, that death more so affected Ellie's character and how she responded to it. It changed her completely. Like gone are the quips, gone are my Ellie quips, gone are the good vibes. I feel like the first game, it's a negative game, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
like Marvel like quips in that game. Like that game's like has some funny moments.
But
Mhm.
look at the journey, like how she changes over these games. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I think she's still I think she's a still well-written character. I do like Ellie. She's one of my favorite video game characters in general. But I just wish that we had a buffer between Joel. Like, give me more of Ellie being Ellie.
Yeah.
We
Because I
got
feel like
this
ever
story.
since Joel died, she's never been the same character.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I feel like that makes sense. But I feel like if we could talk
But
about
they're
this
the
all
ones
day.
who wrote her.
We
Like,
could
you know what I'm saying?
talk
Like,
about
I get it. Like, yes, you like. Of course, you're gonna react this way to Joel dying. You didn't have to kill Joel. Like, nobody told you had to kill Joel. Like,
I
that's
mean,
your
Joel's
decision.
kind of a piece of shit, but
He is. I'm not saying he didn't deserve what he
he
got.
did. He did.
But have that happen like in the middle of the game.
Eh, just kill him. Just kill
Oh my
him. You do, you
God.
Naughty Dog. But what I
Oh
do
my
want to talk
God.
about, because we don't have time to unpack all of that, honestly. We will.
I
We need
wish
to
we
do a
did.
book club on it.
We should.
But I do want to talk a little bit about also the other news that you alluded to with Naughty Dog handing over Uncharted and doing a reboot with another studio. What do you guys feel? How do you feel about that? Because when I heard that, I was like, I don't know about a reboot for Uncharted.
That's one of those things where this is PlayStationLifestyle.net, you know, so it's like, I believe parts of this rumor. I don't believe that.
Hopefully not a reboot.
Yeah, right? No, I don't believe they're going to reboot it. I think you're not going to see Tom Holland like, with Mark Wahlberg. You're not going to see that. But I do think you will see either like a young Uncharted game where you're playing as young Nathan Drake, or you're playing as his daughter, or this could be a remaster, like a remake of the first game. Because of all the games, of all the games in the series that need a remake, that first one,
first one has
that first one's pretty rough. Well. I tried playing it a couple months ago, and I was like, oh no, this is horrible.
Yeah,
so I think that's what this is.
And they could remix, like, the story in the first one wasn't that good either. So, like, I'd be fine with them remixing that one. I'd be all on board. But I'd be also fine with them doing, like, a Lost Legacy type of deal, you know, where they did a little spin-off or a side story with maybe another character. I'd be totally fine with that. And I think it's actually going to be the Days Gone studio who might be working on this.
Oh, Bend?
Yeah, I think it might be Bend studio. Because didn't they previously work on an Uncharted game? The beta
they worked
one,
on
right?
Golden Abyss.
Yeah. So I think it might be them.
That'd be good. I mean, I think that'd be a good I like that. I'm a big Uncharted fan. I love Uncharted ranks as some of my favorite games of all time, so I'm always welcome a new one.
I think we all agree though, don't we all want Naughty Dog to move on from that?
From Uncharted?
I will say I'd rather them work on a new Uncharted than a new Last of Us.
I disagree.
I disagree.
I want The Last of Us from them. But
you don't want to you wouldn't want a Lost Legacy 2?
No. I have it already. Well, I would want both, honestly, but if I had to pick one, I would pick The Last of Us in the style of Lost Legacy, like you were talking about earlier, like a 10-hour Last of Us. I would take that in a heartbeat over another Lost Legacy, which we already have.
I want a new franchise from them.
I honestly think Naughty Dog should go back to the storytelling they were doing in Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3, where those stories were way shorter. Like, I feel like once you get to, I feel like Last of Us was the first game where it's like, okay, we're gonna make this significantly longer than our previous games, and it's only gone up from there. Because Uncharted 4 was way longer than Last of Us, and then like Last of Us 2 is their biggest, longest game, and I feel like it's way too big. I feel like it's like you should have separated this into 2 games. Like, it's even worse than God of War Ragnarok to me. I'm like, this needed some quality control in terms of like, just separate this out.
I feel like both of them, yeah, they remind me of each other. Ragnarok and Last of Us 2 were a little bit too long.
Yeah, and so I would love for them to go back to, all right, we're gonna make a 12-hour experience.
And don't charge me $70 for it, please.
I'm not gonna lie for it. I probably pay $70 if it was like if you gave me a Last of Us 1.5. I would probably pay $70 full stop for that. No shame at all.
You're part of the problem, Thomas.
I will remain part of the problem. If you gave me a Last of Us 1.5 with Joel and Ellie, with Joel and Ellie having new adventures.
But don't give us Joel and Ellie though. Like, if you're gonna do that, we know, because then there's no risk. Like, we know they're gonna make it. Like,
we haven't had a Joel and Ellie adventure in over a decade.
But we don't need them. Their story is over, Thomas. Like, if you give me a Joel and Ellie, I'll be like, okay, like, there's literally no stakes to this, and Last of Us is all about the stakes. So what is this game? No,
Last of Us is about Joel and Ellie. I feel like that's the part. That's the part that why I don't like Last of Us Part 2, because it basically divorced Joel from Ellie as a concept. When the first game, that's literally the best part of the whole story. The best part of the story is their relationship. And we never like Last of Us Part 2 basically teases that the whole way. Where it's like, we'll give you bits and pieces, we'll give you flashbacks, you know, like the whole way. And I'm like, I just want
but
these two interacting.
But
this
isn't Uncharted. This isn't where you get, you know, your fun Indiana Jones. Haha, we're gonna kill and murder 50
we're not having
waves of
fun.
enemies.
Like, we can play with that. We can play with like some near death stuff. You know,
what do you mean?
Maybe they meet another Sam. You know, have a tragic story. You know, like.
Yeah, so anytime a character's introduced, we're like, oh, they're not in part 2, so I guess they're dead. Like I said, no mistakes. There's no point. Just move on.
I'll pay 70 for it. I'll pay 80.
I will not. I'll wait for it to be on sale, just like part 1. I'm not buying that. I'm not paying 70.
That might be my game of the year, part 1. I'm gonna lie.
You need to stop. You need to stop.
And we'll talk about a game of the year. But before we go, there's one last story I wanted to get to. This was brought to us by Mr. Cole himself. And it's rather sad news. Of course, we're talking about one of the main people that was part of Oculus, Mr. John Carmack. He has unfortunately stepped down from his position at Meta/Facebook. No, Meta, the artist formerly known as Facebook. And he had some choice words. I'll let Cole take it away. Like, what is this story? What's happened? And what did he say?
So John Carmack was the head of the Oculus portion of Facebook. And John Carmack, he came from id Software. He's a legend in the video game industry. He's got a really good reputation. Pretty much all gamers love this guy. Anyway, he's a genius. He has a AI company, and he's leaving because of his issues with Facebook, with Meta, and he's going to go on and focus on his own efforts. But this is really cool because we don't really see these behind the curtain, like just someone spilling their guts out about what's going on. And like setting the stage, the past few months with Meta, like Meta stock is just completely, even though the stock market in general is crashing, Meta has completely tanked. Like completely tanked, and everyone's lost confidence in what seems to be everybody's lost confidence in Zuckerberg. They're talking about him leaving the company for good next year. There's rumors about that. They just released the VR headset, which was really bad. I mean, it was $1,500, incremental upgrades from the Quest 2 that we already have. So it's like, and then anyway, let me get to so he stepped down, and part of his internal email to employees leaked. So he just went ahead and posted the entire thing. He said, look, here's part of it leaked. I'm just going to post the entire thing that I sent to everybody. So he posted it on his Twitter. Anyway, I'm just going to go over like the quick, like important details. But he opens it up and he says, this is the end of my decade in VR. I have mixed feelings. And he goes on at the beginning and he compliments what they did with the Quest. Is saying that it's basically exactly what he wanted to see from the beginning. The mobile hardware, inside-out tracking, optional PC streaming, 4K-ish screen. It's cost-effective, blah, blah, blah. He said they pretty much got it right. He said the issue has been our efficiency. Then he said, let's see, really the thing to him is the pain of seeing a 5%. He compares it to, since he's a programmer or a developer or whatever, he compares it to seeing a 5% GPU utilization rate. So he's basically saying like, we have all these people, but we're only operating at like 5% of what we're capable of. So I think that frustrated him that they have, like we were talking about earlier, they threw $10 billion at this. And if you're only getting 5% of that back in like work production, that's terrible. And I think that really irritated him. He said, we have a ridiculous amount of people and resources, but we're constantly self-sabotage ourselves and squander our effort. He said, there's no way to sugarcoat this. I think our organization is operating at about half the effectiveness. Then he said, it's been a struggle for me. I have a voice at the highest levels at Meta, so it feels like I should be able to move the needle or move things, but evidently I'm not persuasive enough. A good fraction of the things he complains about eventually turn his way, but only after a year or two goes by and the evidence actually presents itself. So he was never able to kill the stupid things before they caused damage, or he was never able to set a direction and have his team stick to the direction they're headed. Anyway, then at the end he says, make better decisions and fill your products with give a damn. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much how it ended. He did end on a more lighthearted note. He said, enough complaining. The fight is still winnable. VR can bring value to the most people in the world, and no company is in better position to do it than Meta. He said, it seems like they're not. Oh, one other thing he said that I will say. He says something, I can't find where it was, but he basically says that Meta's in a great position for this, but he thinks that when other competitors come to the market, they're not going to be in the position to fight them. Like I'm insinuating Apple, I think. Um, so
Just
what do
because
y'all
Meta
think
has
about
been
this?
in this space already.
Yeah,
I'm
Meta's been in the
assuming
space, and there's just so much money, like just poured at this from Meta.
that's true.
But
$10 billion over the past 2 years.
Yes.
but the thing is like you're saying, all this money's pouring in, but
What
they're
are the
not
results?
they're not operating efficiently at all. It's like the leadership, and it's just all over the place. And apparently, this is kind of why he lost his passion there.
It's just really interesting because I think all of us kind of have fallen off of VR, and we were all super thrilled about VR. We used to go in there, play golf, stuff like that. But I think, well, it's just like video games, right? It's nothing without the actual games. Like, what applications are there in VR that are, oh, you have to go out and get a Quest 2 right now? Like, there's a handful of things that I would say that, but I don't think I would ever say that there has been a killer app for it that everyone has to get. Like, we're not at the level of a Sword Art Online, right? Like, we're not at that level. And there hasn't really been anything leading us to that for a long time, I would say. Like, one of the biggest experiences I've ever had in VR has been Beat Saber. And that's fun, after a certain point, but I'm not just gonna only play that. I want new, exciting experiences.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg asked you, why not? Why not just play it every day?
It's fine, but
I agree. I think that I don't understand why they haven't bought more studios.
Yeah.
Like that's the main question. Like if you're gonna invest $10 billion into something, the first thing I'm buying with that $10 billion is a studio. And to my knowledge, I know one studio they bought Ready at Dawn. That has made, I believe, a Daxter game. And
really? I was
I
about to say,
think
what is
so.
it?
And The Order 1866.
That was a good game. Okay,
Fine.
highly controversial, but
it's fine. It's
a
just
good,
fine.
It looks beautiful. Okay, it looks beautiful, and it was good. It was
It's fine.
good-ish.
It's fine.
But yeah,
That's the only thing they can show that I can't think of another studio they bought. I haven't heard any, and they have. I haven't heard of them, and I don't understand why they haven't bought any studios. They're big enough. Like I don't care how much money they've lost. They're still big enough to have bought. They can buy Sony right now.
Sony would never sell.
They wouldn't.
Well,
I'm
not
saying,
to
but in
Meta.
terms of
But yeah.
the money, they can buy so many studios. I don't understand why they have been unable to do, because you need games.
But the interesting part is that I don't think this is a problem specific to Meta, even though they're the ones, pouring money into it. Because even with Sony, like, they're coming out with the PSVR 2, right? But they decided that, oh, we're not going to put out a showcase. We're just going to put all these VR games on the blog, and then you guys can figure it out. Like, it seems like the industry as a whole is kind of like half in the jar, hand half out. Like they're not committing to it.
But,
Like it's almost as if they don't believe in the product or the guarantee of VR.
I agree about that. I think Sony is right what you're saying, but we know that Meta they changed their name. Like they're
Right.
all in. So why would they not buy a studio? Like I'm with Thomas on this. Why would they not buy a studio? Like I understand Sony is like, should we go VR? Should we not? Should we go full in? Like, do we really want to spend? Do we want Gorilla making a VR game and use up all the resources for 3 years to, you know what I mean? But like Meta is full in, like all in. Why would they not be? If they have this much money, why would they not?
Also, why don't you just work with PlayStation? Like that's the one thing I never understood, why these two have to be at odds. Like I'm not saying you have to buy them, just work with them. Like a sinking, what is it? A sinking, what's the tide thing?
Or I don't know.
A rising tide rises all ships. Is that it?
That's it. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
These are the two companies. I think Microsoft at some point is going to swoop in. I feel like they're going to be the ones to do it. They're just waiting.
With all of
them
their,
or Apple.
Them or
Apple.
What's that called? Connect Tech. The Connect. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
What?
Connect.
The Connect
camera.
I don't remember that.
Really? It was the
Mm-mm.
pre-Wii. You don't remember?
Yeah,
I
I
do
If you know,
not.
you know. It was horrible.
I-
That's all you need to know.
I tell you, y'all, I was really y'all know how big I was on Facebook and Meta before this message from Carmack really like, ooh, it killed me. It killed me on this. Like,
I mean,
this
but it
isn't
makes
good.
sense.
This is
It
not
makes
good.
sense though, because that's what everything he said. Like we can see when we,
Right.
as
Yeah,
soon as
for
you
sure.
log into Horizon Worlds,
Yep.
you're like, yeah,
Where
like
is
this
your
is
$10
really
billion
uninspired.
going?
Yeah.
Like, that, like somebody honestly, Altspace is better than that. It was developed
Oh,
by
yeah.
like 10
Microsoft.
people. No,
Yeah.
no, they bought it. It was something that
Oh.
Microsoft actually bought
Well, it's good.
Altspace. It was
Well,
a
Is
let's
it?
indie.
let's be real. I agree with you that I enjoy it better, but at the same time, like there is a quality difference between the two.
Is there?
There's a
I haven't
big-
played
yeah.
Altspace is
Horizon.
better than Horizon Worlds.
In terms of the graphics, no, it's not.
You don't think
In-
so? I
No,
think
in
it
terms
is.
of the graphics, no. Like there is a big, like you can see there is like a big difference in that department. But in terms of the structure of it, no, I enjoy Altspace a lot more. It's way because it allows you to do way more stuff.
Yeah.
And they're both way worse than VR chat is.
Oh,
VR chat is
I went
the
into
most.
VR chat. I didn't like it.
But VR chat to me, like, because there's no like copyright stuff, so you can
Yes.
just like basically be
Halo,
whatever you want to
be
be.
Master
Like you
Chief.
could be Goku. I had a conversation with Goku one day. It was really cool. You know, it's like
I told you guys how I got scarred in there. I'm never going back.
Yeah.
yeah,
Never
it's
again.
it could be a very scary place.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I like you said. I know Cole. You might not have understood this, but I deciphered Alfredo's his anime talk. Sword Art Online is a anime that basically is the full realization of what VR could be.
Yeah.
It to the point where the creator of it basically locks everybody in their VR unit, and they can't escape.
Yeah. And they said if you die, you die.
No, it's like if you try to remove the headset, like it explodes and you die.
And if you die in the game, you die in real
Yeah,
life.
yeah,
too.
you die in the game, you die in real life too. So it's like
Classic.
that's the full realization of VR. But yeah, we're not anywhere close to that. I feel like we're at least like 30 years away from that. That's a like
Already, I
there's
feel like at
even
this
like Ready
rate,
Player
more than that.
One. Even Ready Player One, it's like we're so far away.
I don't think we'll
from that.
see anything like Ready Player One in our
Yeah.
lifetime. In any of our
Well, not in that way, because that was the whole. Because that had the whole like, it was like
Yeah.
like a
It was a
thing you like were
A
on your
body
feet.
suit. It was
Not
like
even
a
the
whole
suit, like
right?
it was the thing you had to get where you're like walking on it, and it's like all directional.
No, I'm
And
gonna
that's how
I'm
you
gonna
walk-
need a cane by then on
Yeah.
that treadmill.
Right? We'll be like, our back, my back hurts
Right.
too much to VR.
We're gonna, like we're doing some gaming.
Right, like I don't expect to be a part of that,
Right.
but I think that VR can make a lot of big strides. It's just it's very disappointing, and to see
Like you said,
John
don't blame
Carmack
it.
say this stuff is you can't be mad at him.
No.
Yeah.
You can only be mad at the situation, and
But like
you know.
for him to leave like this and like completely drop out, what it kind of tells me is that like he was looking to the future and he was all in, and now he's out.
Yeah.
It's like whatever he sees, because he is right there at the front line. He knows where they're going, what they've done, what their projection are on their timelines and stuff. And he's like, I'm out. So he's probably seen like this ain't looking good. That sucks.
Well, maybe. Do you think he might go to a different team?
No, I think he's throwing in the. I think he's like, look, my time's done. We made the quest 2. I don't think where they're going is the right direction. It's going to take forever to get there. They don't have the resources. They're not managed right. I think he is discouraged
Mhm.
about it, and he's leaving, and he's going all in on artificial
needs a brick.
intelligence. That's what he's doing. He just founded another company. So
Well, we know that Apple is developing their own VR unit. That's been leaked many times.
Yep.
Now, when it's coming out, we don't know. But do we think that might be the jolt that VR needs? Because Apple, I mean, there are some products that they have released that have not done well. Air Max, I'm looking at you. That big old speaker.
But what does Apple have a history of? Now, this is
Yeah.
all under Steve Jobs. Apple has a history of the user experience, making it great. They took music from the crappy MP3 players. They turned them into the iPod, the best user experience we've ever witnessed or ever experienced with music. They took a phone and turned it to the best possible phone. They took the tablet, made it to the best possible tablet. The computer is the best user experience on the PC. On the
I
Mac.
disagree with a lot of this, but I hear what you're saying.
You don't think that the iPod, when it came out, was the best possible way to experience music?
Alfredo looks like a Zune guy.
Look.
No.
I'm just saying, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I think even more than user experience, I don't like their UI at all. I think,
but initially though, like when the iPhone first came out, it went from BlackBerry.
It was nothing like the iPhone when it first came out.
I get what you're saying, but I think alongside of that, I think what's even more important that they have is brand loyalty. If Apple comes out with a VR, there's going to be all these people who have iPhones that are going to be like, oh, Apple thinks this is cool now? I'm going to try this finally.
No, it's more than, I'm not going to let this Apple.
I'm sorry, that's how you guys are. That's you guys. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to let this Apple heresy go on like this.
Yeah.
The reason why I think an Apple headset would be cool is, let's say you have the VR headset on and you have something on your phone you want to send to the VR unit. You just airdrop it to the VR unit. Like, that is something that I wish the Oculus had.
Yes, only for $5,000 because of the Apple tax.
I think the problem is the user experience of VR. I think the Oculus has made great strides, but like Apple has a history of doing that. They haven't done it under Tim Cook. And whether you disagree with like the Apple is now, but when Apple first came with the iPhone, there was nothing like it. Like, going from a BlackBerry to that was massive.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree about the Tim Cook point, because there is one thing he has done that has definitely changed the world. And that's AirPods. AirPods are like I would assume the most popular Bluetooth like device on the planet.
Yeah, I mean that was good.
And those are very much like the user interface on that. It's the best of any Bluetooth device, where you literally just put them in your ear and they work.
I think Apple is. But Alfredo, you are right. There is a big brand loyalty to Apple that if they release a VR headset and they really push it, because Apple doesn't release that many products. Like when the last time Apple had a new product was the watch, right?
Yeah.
Or the AirPods probably.
The AirPods were the last. Like, that's the last. Well, they tried with the speaker. The speaker was the last one they attempted.
Speaker?
Yeah.
It was bad. My dad bought it. It was bad. It was a bad speaker. It wasn't a bad speaker, but it was like $700.
But
and it wasn't that much better.
They're the opposite of Google. Like, Google tries so much shit and see what sticks, and like they fail and stuff. Yeah. Apple, at least we know that if they release a product, they're gonna stand behind it. They're going to try to make it work.
The thing is,
release that many products.
What kind of experience is it gonna be? I would assume if Apple has a VR unit, it's gonna be expensive one, so it's probably gonna be like $2,000, $3,000 was what I'm thinking. But like, what are we looking at in terms of like, what sort of apps are they gonna do?
I don't know. I don't.
Well, you
not
put
gonna
the
be games, right?
Well, if you put the App Store on it, that's already better than the Oculus App Store.
But it's not gonna be games, right? It's not gonna be Game Central. I'm assuming, because that's not Apple, right?
Think about like the so like your Apple TV. You got like 25 apps that work with the Apple TV.
Right.
You got your Apple iWatch apps. You'll have an Apple VR app store. So they might launch with 15 games. It might be Beat Saber and like 4 or 5 other ones. And they might have like a social area to hang out in, a place where
they'll definitely have like their own personal Apple Meet.
Yeah.
Like
imagine being in iMessage and just dropping a link saying, "Hey, join me in VR."
Right. Yeah.
And they just click it and like
virtually see each other.
Like, imagine
FaceTime Plus.
Like, think about like when you get a message and you have your VR headset on in the car. Like, you have to take the VR headset off, look at your phone. Imagine if the text was just on the as a little alert on the top right-hand side of the screen.
Or the wall. Like, you look at the wall, like you see a light go off in your peripheral, you look over and your message is on the freaking wall.
Also, dictate, you get Siri on there too.
Yeah,
dude, they can kill it, y'all.
Also, I'm sorry. Also, you know the main thing I hate about my VR unit? When I have to re-sign into things. Okay, I use that goddamn keyboard. Imagine if all your passwords are linked to it as well.
Beautiful.
I mean, they can do it. I'm just saying. I feel
like they're in prime position to do it. You know, I feel like between them and Microsoft,
on that,
one of them is going to do it.
Yeah, and Apple's in the best position. You know, didn't they just launch that? I haven't used it yet, but that share play thing where you can like share a movie, you can like sync up your movies and stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Apple? I don't
No, it's
know.
not Apple.
I
A
don't think
lot of
so.
different Netflix has done that. I think Apple
Disney.
TV has implemented it, but the Disney Plus has been doing it for a long time too.
But Apple could get behind these like Netflix and Hulu and stuff and really urge them to say like, look, we have VR. Allow if people are in VR and Cole has a subscription, everyone should be able to hang out in that same room and watch that Netflix together. Like
Yeah,
you should be able to share
that'd
that
be really
experience.
cool.
And maybe they can urge them to do that. And if they can implement that easily into Apple VR Home, we can all hang out and just watch Netflix together. The seamlessness of it would be killer.
I disagree about the price, Alfredo.
You
I
think it's gonna
think
be how much do you think it's gonna be?
I
800,
think it would be
899.
1,000.
Really? That
I
cheap?
think it'll be 1,000. Because
I
I
don't think
don't
there's
think
any
they're
way.
going. Because it's not going to be made. It's going to be made out of plastic, which is they don't really make plastic stuff anymore. So I think because a lot of like their stuff is very much like metal,
Right. They're
and
premium
so I don't.
products like the laptops
So I
and
think
stuff.
it's going to be a cheaper device in terms of it's going to still have that Apple quality, but it's going to be plastic.
Yeah,
So
but I think I actually wouldn't be. We know
I
that
put
Face
it at
Meta
2.
underpriced the Quest, so I'm thinking it's going to be between $499 and $999. But
Mm.
I'm thinking it's going to. I err on the side that it will be cheaper. Like I could see it coming out at $599.
I
I don't
thought
think
it,
it's going to be cheap. I don't
I
think it's
think
going to
it's
be
gonna
cheaper
be
than the Oculus. I think it's going to be they're going to want to price it higher because they're gonna be like this is a more premium experience.
exactly. And then everyone would just take my money, Apple. I
But
love you.
it's
2K.
probably gonna have the A11 chip. You know, it's gonna be powered by way more powerful tech than Oculus.
I
I
forgot
don't
about
know. I
they
don't know
got
the
that
chip
A11
that's
chip.
in the Oculus Quest, but I know that the new iPhone chips like
Well, let me
are
ask this:
way more powerful.
What about that M2 chip? I got the iPad.
No, dude.
Why would they use that?
Because that's a computer. Because that's more so a computer. I don't think they're gonna still want it to be a mobile. I don't think they're gonna try to make this a tethered experience. I think
Yeah, they
Yeah,
won't.
they're
They
gonna
won't make it
want this
tethered.
to be a
What's the
mobile
so
experience.
what's in the iPhone 14?
A11, the
A11.
Bionic
So
chip.
so
I think it's gonna be that. I don't think it's gonna be
it'll
the
be that.
M1. The M1 is for their MacBooks and stuff.
Plus, you suck too much battery life out.
My other
Right.
question though is when do you guys think we'll see something like this? Because I believe like the Quest 3 is supposed to come out sometime next year, I think.
Yeah.
So when
Well,
would we even see an Apple?
Apple is not one to announce something like a year in advance. Like they usually announce something and you're able to get it
Like the
within the next
showcase,
couple
yeah.
months.
But usually we start getting leaks like crazy.
We
Yeah, and they
have
have a
though. We got leaks of
showcase.
this.
not of like patent designs and stuff, have we?
I think we have.
Really?
Pretty sure we have. This has been like it's almost like a guarantee that they've been working on this.
So do you think
And they're
we'll
just
see something in a year's time?
I think
Like
we'll see it in
next Christmas?
2024. I think 2024 we'll see it for the first time.
But we
I don't
have
think they're gonna do it
revenue.
next.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna do it next year.
Okay.
I think that because they're not gonna want to release it in the same year as the PlayStation VR.
That's true.
I think they're going to want to look at how that performs before they do anything.
Do you think that they're not just testing this and they're do y'all think Apple has said we're greenlighting the VR? We are going to launch this product, or do you think they're still testing the waters, like just like dicking around with it?
I think they're the one company that can afford the risk if it doesn't work out. They're the one company that's like, okay, it didn't work, whatever. Where Sony really like they can kind of afford for PlayStation VR2 not to work, but it's gonna hurt. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely gonna hurt a little bit if it's a failure. Hell, even Microsoft, I don't think can just like put all their resources into doing it and then it don't work out. That'd be a bad look. I think Apple is at a place where it's like, yeah, we sell millions of iPhones. We sell them for $1,000. Like we're the first $3 trillion company. Like we can take an L if this doesn't work out because I feel like they know that this is the future, but I think they're allowing Facebook to be basically like the
Guinea pig.
blockbuster. You know, they're letting them like, yeah, like get everybody aware of what VR is. So when it comes time, we'll swoop in and we'll take the market.
Y'all know what is very interesting about this? If Apple does do this and they're successful at it, this will open up a branch of Apple that Apple has no market share on. and that's the social media market share. They have nothing. They have nothing. They are not in that. Besides iMessage, which is text message, they are not. This could be the launch of their VR social media platform, which is what Facebook Meta wants to do. And
Yeah.
Apple may just do it, and they may do it better, and it may destroy Meta.
What if this is a crazy scenario? What if Mark Zuckerberg does drop out, or he not drop out, step down?
Yeah.
If he steps down, what if the next person, first thing they do, we're changing it back to Facebook and we're selling Oculus to Apple?
What? No way.
Nah,
You're
Apple's gonna
crazy.
do their own thing.
They're too far in. They're too far in with the money.
I don't know. Crazier things have happened, but yeah, probably not going to happen. But I think that Apple's going, because the one thing they are known for is buying up other ideas. So I do think there's going to be an acquisition at some point we're probably not going to hear about. They're going to buy some patents, and they're really going to make this thing. Because I feel like the one thing about the iPhone, like no one was expecting, was like the little changes that it did a lot of little things that still to this day, people don't remember. Remember the keyboards didn't used to make a sound when you used to click a letter. And the iPhone was the first one, I believe, that did that, where you click on the key and it makes the little click sound.
Well, Apple was the first one that had a screen as a touch screen. I mean, they had touch screens before.
No, they had like trios and stuff. Like they had, it was there, but they weren't tactile. It didn't feel right. And Apple really did change the game with that. And I feel
if you say so, Thomas.
you're not gonna give them that credit for the iPhone.
I mean, I don't know
Do
far
y'all
back.
remember this? Y'all.
No, I didn't have no phone.
Y'all, cell phones before Apple was out.
I feel like Alfredo is phone. I remember you remember the Sidekick, Alfredo?
Yeah, I remember
that came out a year before the iPhone. And if you look at that compared to the iPhone, that thing is
touch screen. Oh, not the first one. So
the most popular phone out, the most popular phone out before iPhone was released was the BlackBerry, and it had the keyboard on it.
Yeah, those buttons made sound, Thomas.
Yeah, a little bitty screen. It had a ball.
Yeah, but not like a sound on the screen.
Yeah, because you couldn't press the screen.
That's the point. But there was other touchscreen phones, because there was a whole Windows XP phone. I remember that, and that was fully touchscreen.
But that apps didn't exist on phones before iPhone. There were no apps. It was just you could go to your email and you read a URL based email. It was a strange, and they completely revamped the whole game. Go back and watch when y'all have time. Go back and watch Steve Jobs' original iPhone unveil. And
I watched that at least once every 6 months.
Oh,
it's inspirational. I'm not gonna lie. I have never seen a man sell something so well in my entire life.
I refuse.
But you watch it, you think, holy shit, it's revolutionary. That coming out and watching that is that's history. That is
when you see people impressed, they're they pull out just a random you hear the clicking. Oh, I can text 2 people at once. You're yeah, I'm looking at they have no idea what's in this. But it was cool. Back then, all that stuff was super innovative, and I feel that the VR space is missing that.
Yes, for sure, it is.
I was the Oculus Quest was definitely a big step.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we need
everything
another big
untethered.
Step.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, MySpace was a big step too until Facebook came.
Exactly. So hopefully we get something new soon. But this has, of course, been the Dukes of Gaming podcast. Again, you can listen to us on your favorite podcast service. Watch us live on Twitch. Watch us later on YouTube. Leave a like, a review, a comment, anything to help support the show. You can even email us at therealdukesofgaming@gmail.com. Have your question read live on air. Hit the bell as well to get notifications on when we drop our latest videos at the exact time we drop them. We post everywhere, every week. So make sure you start your week right with the Dukes of Gaming. And with all that being said, I bid thee farewell.